Welcome to all of you. And again, you have a chance to spend some good time, good company with us here as we look at this opportunity together as one of great change, one that brings many new opportunities for growth and learning. So this is my guest today, Blanca Vergara. I see that we are live on Facebook, which means you can enjoy this with us today, and you can get full benefit from a priceless discussion, I believe will be today, on money, conscious money, and really the economy. What are we now facing? Let me first tell you a little bit about Blanca Vergara. She's an award-winning money mindset mentor, and she actually helps entrepreneurs conquer the inner game of wealth, and believes very much like I do that a lot of success comes from inner work. At this time, we're called really to do a lot of inner work. And I know for some of us that might be extremely challenging and life-threatening, and maybe even we are panic-stricken and not clear at all what to do next. We're going to try and help you with this today because we have with us an expert, Blanca Vergara. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here, Heleniq. I think and feel and experience, all my body knows that you're doing a terrific work and so inspired work. Really my compliments and really honored to be here.
Thank you. I'm inspired by all of you. I was in quarantine myself for 3 years when I got really sick. I've been talking more out about it. And so I feel really born for this time, prepared to offer service and really help people, because I know it can be very shocking to have your normal life taken away from you. And for a lot of people, they experience it like that the normal is no longer there. And when we say that normal no longer exists, many are even saying that this past normal place that we used to live in is not coming back. Other people are saying this will be over and this is going to change, and things will be different for a while, but then everything will go back to normal. Well, I'm not so sure that that's the case, but it's debatable. Nobody really knows for sure. But that's why I want to just say that for us today, it's an honor to have you, because I think one of the most important areas of uncertainty for people is their economic future, is the economy itself, and how they will be earning a living, and how they are currently unable to design any of that because of the confusion and uncertainty. And then there are those few who are, and I want to remind people of this, running incredible businesses right now and starting new ones because the market needs certain things now that the market didn't need before. And there are those entrepreneurial minded people that can feel that out and reinvent, regenerate. But that's not very mass in our culture. It's something that's reserved for a few. So let's try and break it down a little bit today. First, start off by telling us about the work that you do as a money mindset coach and where you think people find themselves now in terms of money. I've given you my take. What do you think? Where are people in terms of money and economy right now?
Well, I think there are just two modes of living, and this is fear or love. When you're in fear, your immune system goes down, you get ill, you get fired, you don't attract customers. When you are in fear, everything goes wrong. Just think about when you're skiing and you want to get it all right down the mountain, you will break a bone. You would have a terrible accident. When we are in fear, everything goes bad. What I see is many people just frozen, repeating in their mind whatever bad experience they are having right now. It could be the bad experience of just watching a television, of being ill themselves or having somebody ill, being fired. But, the mind is just repeating that feeling. And what is happening in your bank account is reflecting the feeling of fear, because you are simply
stuck in some way, aren't you?
It's very interesting because there is scientific research in which they say that the real feeling just happened the first 15 seconds. So, okay, your grandma died. Boom, you fear, sadness, grief, guilt. And then after those 15 seconds, you are repeating the feeling. You are making a copy of it. But you can take a step out of that reality and say, and ask yourself very consciously, what would love say? Love is eternal. Love is everything that there is. When we put ourselves into that vibration, because it's really a vibration, then possibilities emerge. And sounds very spiritual, but it's very practical. When I read the books of people who are very practical, like, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or goodness, I always forget his name, Warren Buffett. They are not the spiritual guys, or they pretend not to be, or they don't write books like they were spiritual. But Kiyosaki says in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he says that to make money, you need to invest. What is to invest is to see what is invisible, to see the invisible. That, for me, that is love, to see what nobody dares to see the possibilities, to see and create and build the future. If you really want to make money right now, you have to have a vision of what the future will be and how you're going to reach what it is right now and with what is going to be later. I just have been outside with my children today, following the rules, 1.5 distance. We were in our car looking at people making a kind of documentary. And what I saw is that quite some people are working and they are seeing what are the needs right now. And what are their needs right now? People are at home. They see that there is a hole there, that their wallpaper is not well painted. People are rebuilding their houses. So all these DIY things are selling right now. So love and fear. Love and fear. If you have suffered a loss of whatever sort right now, the bridge towards being in hope and possibilities into opening your business is grief. So grieve whatever is happening to you in your life and go through the process of this is what happened. I'm accepting it. This is the reality. And then open yourself to what it will be. And this is leadership. 2 steps of leadership. Our dear Tony Robbins says it. Step number 1 is seeing how it is. Step number 2, see it as you wanted it to be. How it is right now. We are at home. We are in close quarters. What's the reality of that? This is how it is. How I wanted it to be. And this is where you can use all your talents. What I see, and I did a video yesterday about it, is that psychologically, we are in a place called the doldrums. And the doldrums is quite dangerous. It's where we can get into addictions and violence. That's why people are drinking in their houses, taking drugs. That's why porn is selling so well. So if you want to make money and don't care about being heart-centered, sell those things. But I know that we are here, we got heart-centered people, and I will never recommend you to help people to be more addicted. I will tell you, if you have that situation that people are in close quarters and psychologically they are in the doldrums, what you are going to help them with is grieving so that they can process their grief and move them into possibility. If you are strong enough to be a leader to help them to process their pain and open their eyes to possibilities, a lot can be done.
I want to come in here and share with you something that I heard from one of my clinical psychologist friends in South Africa. I just spoke with her before coming on this call. She is the busiest she's ever been. There's a huge turnaround in the industry now in South Africa, where they are very much behind the rest of Europe. So they've had time to prepare, and there have been enormous movements started to support this process. And I will get into them as we speak today, because they were so inspiring to listen to, that I think people should know that many of the problems we have in society are in some way going through a cleansing process right now. And we are getting a chance to filter, prioritize, etc. But the reason I come in now with it is because she said she believes there are 3 people on the planet right now. There are those who are taking what she calls the big rest. That if you are not asked to work right now, you're not on the front line, and you're at home and your pattern's been interrupted, you have an opportunity to finally, maybe for the first time, really take a really big rest in life. And this is, of course, very challenging for high achievers, peak performers, the leaders that are running companies. You know, they can't rest, all of them, but certainly for many employees and workers, it's time to be resting. The very second important group of people are the ones really on the front line, the ones medically out there helping, supporting, really doing the medical work to try and stabilize the whole population. And then the third are these people that are holding space. And the people that are holding space are the ones asked to help hold the psyche of humanity right now as we go through this process. Whichever group people are in, we are in and born for this time, I really believe. And there is, I think, a fourth group of people who are going through such big transformation by having the losses imposed on them, it might feel like, you know, at the moment, like losing people you really love. But this is their time to go through that grief and transformation. But it ties very beautifully in with what you're saying, Blanca, because really it is the groups that are, let's say, holding down, leading, comforting, are the ones holding space, we say in psychological terms, like really being able to hold sacred space for people to process all these emotions that are really happening. So when you speak about grief, I think it's really important that people hear us today, that whatever positive spin you get out of any of these lives, we want you to know we are totally grounded in the reality that there is a process of grief that is happening at the same time as this call to rebirth the planet in this time. And you're speaking to it directly. So
absolutely. I feel it to the bone what you're saying.
Yeah.
And this holding the space, this helping to grieve, not necessarily means that you're a psychologist or a coach.
Could be anybody.
You can be other things.
Yeah.
You can be an expert in nutrition. You can be a person who sells construction material. You can be a person who does mediation, because that's a big problem that I see right now. Many couples are in tremendous arguments, and doesn't need to end like that. You know, I love my husband and I feel really loved by him, but we live in close quarters, and sometimes we don't communicate that accurately.
Yeah.
And when we notice that, we take a step back and we see that that's make us get closer together, to see things that we never saw before and help us to bond more. But we do that automatically. My God, there is so great opportunity to grow love if you could hold the space for couples right now. And the says with mothers and fathers with their teenagers, with their little ones. There is great possibility. This big group of the big rest, I find that such a huge, it's a market opportunity, but it's also a spiritual opportunity. These people, for the first time, maybe in decades, are resting and can actually think of their lives and what is their life mission. And many of my customers, they transition from what I call the greed economy into the heart center economy.
Yeah, let's talk more about that. Greed economy was before.
Yeah.
Heart center economy. Yes.
We are having everything at the same time. Yeah. I created this framework. I'm going to give it to you so that you can insert it here. It is a 2x2 matrix. And the horizontal axis is everything about money and power, and what we have been adoring for the past 5,000 years, that is masculine power and the gold medal and the big muscles and we can do it. Everything that is masculine. And this is really the toxic masculine. And in the vertical is love and spirit and hugs and kindness, and it's like the opposite. You cannot be loving and you cannot have money at the same time. It's really, that's the reason why they are two different axes. So in the bottom, in the kind of little of both, then you have, you know, the people in the spinning wheel with the jobs that don't make enough money, that you hate Mondays and you love Fridays, and you just you cannot reach financial independence there because you earn little money, you don't have savings, you don't have pensions, and you know, it's really, we have those jobs right now. It really exists right now. The next quadrant is where you go a lot towards having money and a little towards satisfying your happiness, your love, your sense of passion of life, actually. And then you are in the greed economy. So that is where many of my customers used to be. Think about this engineer, chemical engineer, very interested in creative, wonderful things for the future, and ended up working for an oil company. And actually what she does is verifying that the invoices are correct. This just makes me cry because their capabilities and their creativity cannot be used very well. Here you have the hoarders, people who have lots of shoes, lots of things that they don't use them. And for me, they're quite a lot in the other scheme that you say is the people who are in the big rest, the people who are no longer working, and now like, oh my God, why do I have so many pairs of shoes that I never wore? Why do I have stuff? What is the meaning of stuff? What am I doing with my life? Here you have the hoarders.
Sorry, 1 second.
People who have lots of shoes, lots of things that they don't use them. And for me, they're...
Sorry,
I'm listening to myself again. Okay.
Live question. So you've got the people that are then the hoarders, yeah, the people hoarding, yeah. Why do I have so much stuff?
Yeah. So then these people, at some point, something happens to them in their life. And this could be what is happening right now with the coronavirus. At some point, something happens to them in their lives. They, you know, they are fired, they get an illness, they get a spiritual awakening, and they go all the way to what I call the bohemian economy. That is the top left in my diagram. And that they become coaches and Reiki practitioners and masseurs, and they give everything for free. They don't charge, and you know, their savings start dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And I'm so good that I don't charge. And I see that also online very much, that so many things are offered for free without giving the value of what that is. You know, it's how we devaluate ourselves as women. We devaluate ourselves our service. We devaluate ourselves our worth. And so my aim is to help customers to do both transitions, to combine the best of the masculine and the best of the feminine, to really forgive all the masculine and forgive all the feminine, reconcile with the best of the masculine, with the best of the feminine, and combine it in a business. So what I do with people is to use those two things. We work with meditations, with affirmations, with all kinds of brain rewiring techniques to let go of those non-supporting beliefs. So in a very feminine way, if you wish. And we also work in a very masculine way of what's the plan, what's the date, what's the price, and when are you going to do it, and really getting it done. So I combine both things, because it's really not enough to have the wishful thinking that you went to a meditation retreat and then all your money mindset has been upgraded. You really have to act upon them and really go for the sale and increase your prices and really do it. So that's the model that I have. And I perceive now more than ever that this is so needed. This is the medicine that the world needs right now, is forgiveness and reconciliation with everything that they have been in the past, so that we can have a vision of who we want to become in the future. So that's the heart-centered economy.
Beautiful. Can I ask you something about it?
Sure.
If we go into the world economy and we look at it now, how it's been in the past, are you saying that it has been extremely, business has been happening out of the heart-centered space, and it's been maybe dominated a lot more by what we are calling a masculine energy of progress, getting it done, power, really it's about money, it's about the bottom line? And how does this need to be remedied? Like, how do we bring the heart back into the economy without, you know, losing the whole structure of it? Because I think some people have been trying to do that.
Yeah.
And then they call a lot of that work social entrepreneurship, you know, like where you are aware of society, you're still looking at how do we balance resources, you're trying to do it for good.
Mm-hmm.
Then what I've seen myself, and I mean, we really are trying to look at some kind of strategy there, some kind of solutions, some ideas, some brainstorming for people, because yes, there's a limbo about now not knowing where you're at, and you can begin to think, what does the market need and how do you start serving people but still charge for it, have a value? That's why some of these masterclasses were given for free, and then we had tickets for some of the other ones, you know. I mean, like we had some split there in terms of offering heart-centeredly, like there's some seats for free, and then we're also charging for the rest. So 5 seats are gone for free, the rest is paid for example. I've seen another system which is run with the process-oriented psychology work, which deals a lot with power, rank, status, privilege, and working on all those layers to take responsibility. Globally, people come from all around the world and they work with a ratio. You know, if you're from a certain country zone, you pay less for the conference. If you're from Europe and you're on part of the Nordic countries, you pay more, and you sort of help sponsor other countries. So we have some models. But when we look at this current economy we've built, if we're saying it's been very money driven and it hasn't had heart, and then we have this other example of social entrepreneurship in between, or the other one I just gave of ratios and things like that, what I see happening often, and even with this masterclass as an example, is that the exchange can easily turn back into a choice of either I have to go back out there with this competitive, aggressive kind of approach to it's really about the bottom dollar mindset, or I have to go into this more heart-based, being of service kind
Give
of
for free
charity thing, right? Yeah. So because people can't include that well enough, it doesn't balance somehow.
Yeah.
They go back to this old model, and or they end up hanging out here. And I have clients that are examples of this. You have clients that are examples of this. The world is built on examples of this. All the ones out there pioneering social change for, you know, funding, and then all the businesses that are selling us plastic and everything we don't need. So if we look at it realistically speaking now, according to your model, we're saying that the world economy has been very much in that first quadrant, all masculine, right? So how do we start to shift that? What do we need to inject? And how do we do it as individuals?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. I want to make this a quest of my life.
I love that.
I really believe that, oh God, I have to learn this quote by heart. There is this wonderful quote by a woman that says that the most effective revolutions have been started by a small group of people. And I really believe that the small group of people who is going to change the future of humanity is entrepreneurs, is these heart-centered entrepreneurs, is people who are going to show to everybody that it's possible to make money and do well for the society. I want to bring you this book. Was published by Harvard Business School. One of the professors works for INSEAD. It is a very mainstream book. And Blue Ocean Strategy. And they basically say that there are two ways of doing business, red ocean and blue ocean. Red ocean is this old way of doing. There is competition, there is a market, and let's fight until the death because there is lack and there is no other way. And what they go on about is, let's look for what you want to do and how that connects with the people who you are meant to serve. And you can reinvent completely a market, you can reinvent completely an industry, you can create something completely brand new that feels the need of somebody who has never been served. And now with technology, we can really go to the specific people who you are meant to help. And that way we are going to, the idea of having everybody equal in the world is really not going to happen. That everybody is going to earn the same amount of money, that everybody is going to like the same things. People are going to like different things and people are going to open to different things. And when we as entrepreneurs are able to fulfill those needs of of our part of the market, more, it's very interesting. It's maybe you have seen it, this being egalitarian and being equal. If we give the very same thing to everybody, that doesn't help everybody. If you give the specific service that each one of us needs, is where we're really generating change.
It's this shift that happened with communistic thinking about everybody's equals out, and then looking more at how do we actually customize. We've seen it happening in education.
Absolutely. we have to customize. We have to customize.
We look for the individual that has the disease in health instead of the disease that just happens to the individual. There's also quotes about this, and we know in remedial education, you cannot treat all children with a special need with the same solution, because the special need manifests in so many different ways. So even though you slap on a diagnosis, it doesn't mean everyone with ADD looks the same and needs the same solution. So we've seen so many theories coming about how this one-size-fits-all model doesn't actually work.
Doesn't work. So we really need to tailor make. So how do we tailor make? And this is just very exciting. We tailor make by using the skills that women are really good at. Why are women so good at being mothers? Women are very good at being mothers. I don't know if you know this bit. I love this historical, this little story of the Russian army during the Second World War. In general, all other armies that did not use women, but the Russian army used women. You know what for? To be snipers. And they were the best snipers because women know when is the right time. And I think when we use women to really focus on when is the right time, we are going to get the right recipe for the right people in the right moment. How do we do this? And we can do it, every single person in the planet, men, women, and children. We have three parts of our, scientists have researched the power of the heart and the power of the gut. Yeah. And they have identified that they also have intelligence. And some of them argue that our highest intelligence is in our heart.
Yeah.
And they have researched what they say, what kind of hormones they send to each other, what kind of electromagnetic information they send to each other. And what they have found out is that's the same story that, in the street is heard like, I felt it with my heart, I felt it with my gut, I love you with all my heart. It's just exactly what these parts of the body do. So what we have is, in the grid economy, what we do is that we use all our creativity. We're very creative. We cannot do everything we want. And we use our gut.
Right.
We are very courageous and we do what needs to be done. So then you end up creating a Nazi army. It's very precise and you do it. But did you consider if it was compassionate? No. Or that would be the grid economy, like selling products with sugar in bottles that's killing with diabetes millions in the world, but you make money. That's really a brain gut product. Or what you're telling me, this heart center, but it's not heart centered, is bohemian, is the people who do something really beautiful with their heart and actually don't charge, don't have the guts and the courage to say, give me money. We needed three things. We need to align our brain, our heart, and our gut. We need the grounding to be able to say we are living in a three-dimensional world and we need to be paid. It's not just enough about giving, giving, giving. We need to ask to receive.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable. It is not acceptable a society in which we are all giving. When it's all the design, we get air in, we take the air out. There is night, there is day. There's two parts of the brain. It is not acceptable to just give, give, give. We really need to be asked to be paid. And as spiritual workers, all these people that you say that we're holding a space, I can see it with my work and with all my customers. The moment when we give away our services for free, people do not do the work.
Yeah.
They do not do the work. You tell them, do this journal, ask yourself these questions, do this meditation. They don't do it.
So I hope everybody's hearing that what we're speaking about, a heart-based economy, the one that we are asked now, challenged into create and integrate into the future that we are building together, is not about just being so in your heart as a giver that you go into what I know you call toxic femininity, Blanca, which is really giving without putting a price tag. And since these lives are for men and women, we've got a lot of different qualities in us, all of us, that are sometimes named more to be feminine and others named more to be masculine. Really, from deep teachings, we know that there is a yin energy, a yang energy. They work in different ways, like the sun and the moon moving through the nostrils. We have different pathways of electricity, let's call it, that keeps energizing this body. And as we function, we also work with these types of electricity in different ways. And one of them we name yin, one of them we name yang. So I want everybody to get clear that it's not just women and men thing here that we're talking about. It's also the way the world's been designed to present us with a very specifically yang energy. In other words, a certain kind of electricity of action, a certain kind of way of being active, a certain way of behaving. If you want to take it to its most practical level, it's like doing stuff, doing stuff, like progress. We have to, have information out there. We've got to, discover things. We've got to be a species that's like inventing stuff, and we've got to like design a new gadget. And all this sense of progress is very yang in its electricity, let's say. Now, for those who sometimes come on and say that there's no science behind some of the spiritual work, there's lots of science, people, and it's ancient wisdom. So science is way behind, even for those of you that are skeptics. Really,
absolutely.
There,
let me interrupt you on that bit. For the people who are doubting the stuff that I'm telling you, go to the Heart Math Institute.
Yeah.
They have, my goodness, decades of scientific papers saying that what I'm saying is true. There is just so much science behind, so much.
I myself, Blanca, have studied the heart-head coherence from the heart math as well, and only as an accidental path to wanting to understand a little bit more about whether there is kind of a deeper truth to a lot of what we learn in Eastern philosophy, ancient Greek philosophy. What's the ancient world saying that modern science is actually only now confirming, and which part of that is universally true? Because that's what you have to do if you're a human behavioral scientist, because you work with people or you give them advice and you need to know it's going to work for them, or you give them an exercise or you take them through a process. It has to work for them, and it can't go against religion or language or preference or DNA or whatever. So you look for what is the generic exercise that's going to help shift behavior. And this is why neuroscience has been booming the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
And really looking at what is this intelligence behind the emotional part of the human being, and what's the intelligence behind the brain, and how do these all sync up through the organs of the brain and the heart. So it's been, confirmed for decades now that we cannot anymore talk just about the heart, and we cannot anymore talk just about the head. We have to look at how these work together, and they actually all connect through the breath. My friend Viola's here with us. I hope she's ringing her bell here as we say that, because she's really into the breath so much, conscious rebirther. And we know that this is the coherence that I think you're now talking about. So this is also the coming together of this in our economic endeavors. How do we put our brain and our heart together when we build business? And when we become entrepreneurial, we need to be heart-based and brain-based in a coherent state. And that's what the heart math science is all about. So if you want more information on that, by all means, go and check it out. I absolutely love that we came up with that together today to give people that information if they don't have it. So let's take a next step and say, if now people are going to go into this blue ocean way of doing business, it's, I think, in some way reminding me or confirming perhaps that we're going to have more blue oceans then, not red ones anymore. Yeah. I think I might have lost you somewhere, Blanca.
Sorry.
Yes.
Remember two things. There are two realities all the time. Just like the movie The Matrix, you have the blue and the red pill. Some people are going to continue being in fear, okay?
Yeah, I love that.
That's going to continue. There is going to be people who go bankrupt. There's going to be people who will be violent, who will go into addictions. There are going to be people who will commit suicide. There is going to be people who are going to be really upset and sad, and there is going to be a dark side, okay? Yeah. I am not sugarcoating it. There is going to be problems. Yeah. But if you are a leader and you see that and you brace yourself and you say, I am going to do something different, yeah, then there is great opportunity for you, okay? I want to give you the quote of one of my patron saints, Warren Buffett. He says, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful.
Oh, wow.
I find that really powerful from Warren Buffett to say.
Very powerful.
I recommend you to research Sir John Templeton. Sir John Templeton made his fortune during downturns. So there is a time of great opportunity in front of us. Loads of people are going to be in fear. You can be there. Go and buy your alcohol and your cigarettes. Or get all your spiritual strength and your business hat and start designing a business that is going to serve people and is going to build a future. Will it be easy? No, but it'll be great and you will be remembered. look for it. Otherwise, I send it to you. There is this gorgeous photo of Walt Disney, 1935. 1935 was the heart of the Depression in the US. He was in the US and he was making so much money. How? With Mickey Mouse, with a cartoon. Okay. So, how are you going to make money? You're going to make money with your gift that God gave you and the courage to go out there and build a company that people need. What did people need in the Depression in the 30s? They need to smile. Walt Disney understood that they needed to smile. What will people in fear will need? Better relationships. What is this holding the space? Because this is the business. You will need to hold the space for people. How can you do it? What is that for you? Do you have a Mickey Mouse? Do you have what kind of business? What kind of service do you have? But you really have to stay in your power, because I don't sugarcoat it to you. There is going to be a storm. Whenever they are going to open the door and they are going to tell us that the lockdown worldwide is over, it's not going to go back to normal. We are going to still have lots of people in fear. And you have to be able to have the spiritual strength to be able to deal with the people in fear. You have to remain in the love. Whatever that you call God, or whatever gives you that is strength as a human being, I don't know if you have ever been, well, I guess you have been in a funeral. Imagine a funeral. There is, of course, the deceased, and there are people down there completely desperate. There are people crying. And there is always someone, that person, who has the moral strength to hug people, to be there for people, to organize if there is coffee, to organize if the priest is coming. Why don't giving yourself as the purpose of being that strong person at a funeral? Why don't give yourself the purpose of being the strong person when the proverbial financial will hit the fan? So that's how you're going to make money.
I love this. It's such an important live, and I really hope people who are watching right now are going to share this with other people, because there really is a lot of panic at the moment about the economy, about what we are facing in the future, and you're getting some priceless advice here today that is totally free of charge. And here, out of her very powerful disposition, Blanca is sharing not just a money mindset, but also some really great tips on how to really pivot your business message right now. If you are an entrepreneur out there, she's in fact even saying that you are part of the mass of real paradigm shifters for the future. You are the ones that are going to see the opportunities here and really get trained to build a business that's relevant, that meets the market need in a much more heart-based, caring, loving way than ever before. You're going to have to look at what it is that people really value right now and how to present that in a package, a product, a service, and maybe even an entire business built on that.
Absolutely.
But this is a huge current of challenge, strain, stress, and yes, a storm. I love these very important words that are coming in today, because we want to stay so grounded. We're not going into this bohemian kind of economy that Blanca was sharing with us, is on her grid, her structure of how she explains different mindsets, that we want to be caring, loving, heart-based, and conscious in the way that we're working, but not to the point where we just give everything for free and we are, just there to take care. We also have to monetize and create the value. How you're going to do this now as an entrepreneur, you have some great insight. It's all on the box on Facebook if you want to pick it up and look at it more in detail. Yeah. But I want to just remind us all right now that there is, in fact, like you just said, Blanca, an uncertain time of quarantine. And I've spoken, as I said earlier, to South Africa early this morning, and I always look to South Africa for strong contrasting inspiration, let's say, because it's a land that holds such diversity, I think more than anywhere else in the world, with lots of contrast, more than a lot of other places as well. So you get a very interesting kind of example of change. And what's going on there right now that I found very interesting to notice is that they're starting to talk about people that are carrying the virus as shedders that are never going to get symptoms, but are actually infectious to others. And there's been a lot of discussion, I believe, on the news as well. I myself haven't seen this about this. So it's referring to the fact that many of us could be carriers of the virus, and we could be infecting other people, and we could be part of the group that's never going to get the symptoms, which means we are a little under the radar. And because of that fact, scientists are starting to say right now that that means we move into another level of uncertainty about how to contain the spread of this virus and the implications of that. And I want you to all really pay attention to the right news as best you can. Go and listen to many sources of news and find what's corroborated in it so that you can find your own point to follow here in terms of media and information, because you need to be informed. But I think the sense I'm getting is that this could mean that life doesn't go back to normal ever. We have to go through maybe what they are predicting as an 18-month recovery stage of coming out of quarantine, but actually still being in this uncertain phase of not knowing whether you are a carrier or not, or you are one of these carrier virus shedders, they call them, right? Meaning that then we are going to have to restructure the world. So are we all going to go back to work? Maybe not. Some of us might end up doing remote work for the first time, or to continue what we've already set up in a more intense pace. Some of us might go back to work in different ways or in staggered hours, because we now see we don't have to sit in the kind of traffic we were sitting in before. We are faced with new opportunities to work online. We have new, huge problems to sort out about working online. So that's not like some silver rainbow at the end of it all. It's, again, a challenge to be working through, but it is showing us that we have other options, and we need to be building these bridges to the future for at least a year and a half, maybe going outside with a mask still, that it's not all, miraculously over. So let's try and be a bit realistic.
Well, I think about what you're saying, that no back to normal. I think there is no back to normal ever. Because what you just this framework that you gave me of the people in the big rest, in the front line, etc., the people in the big rest, reminding the psychological upgrade that they are going to have. My mom died last year, February.
Yes.
For me, that was a grieving. I'm not the same. I will never be. My mom just died of old age. We, by grieving all our people around the world, we as humanity, we will not be the same. No matter what. The point is to have the courage to look at our dragon in the face. Whatever it is, because whatever it will come, I totally agree with you, with Heleniq. We have to listen to the news. You know what we do at home? The practice that we do at home is that we listen to the news, different news, contradictory, as much contradictory as possible, and then we meditate.
Beautiful.
So that we get in peace, we get back into our power, and then we say, okay, so now this is how we're going to move the business. This is how we're going to eat. This is how we're going to deal with the children. So I invite you to copy me, please copy me. Follow all the news, but get back to your center.
Get back to
and back to your center is not just enough your heart, it's really your entire system. So that your brain gets back out of panic and you get oxygen onto your prefrontal cortex, please. You start thinking again, not just your reptilian brain, oh, panic, we're going to die. No, okay, what does this mean? What does this mean for my business? What does this mean for my clients? Send oxygen to the part that makes you intelligent.
And Blanca, because you've given us this very powerful moment in your sharing with us the red pill option, I want us to recap it before you leave. I'm welcoming some people on the live to share with us your question if you have one. Maybe you have comments. I'm going to see if I can read some of those out as well before we close this particular session and move on to transformational leadership, which is carrying on this conversation onto a much more serious track, even about leadership and how we're going to support leaders and or step up as leaders to really help guide others who are in that reptilian brain. So let's go back and just mention that again. You spoke about being in the dragon state, drinking the red pill, the fear, the panic, right? And you said something really important about addictions, about lots of porn is selling right now. In South Africa, again, my example for you today is that they've stopped the sale of cigarettes and alcohol for 3 weeks. And there has been an incredible drop in a certain kind of street crime that happens over there because of it, because on Saturday, Sundays, there would be very specific gang-related crime because of increase in alcohol consumption. And the government's just said it's not a priority right now to sell anything that does not help people get through the virus quarantine time. And even though people are going to go through detox, it's really not a priority. They've set up something called a support fund. 60 million people in South Africa put R5, which is about, €0.50 into the fund for stabilizing everyone out there that is unemployed right now. So everybody that's unemployed, they would be starving if it wasn't for this fund by now. And the whole population is mobilized, with the president giving lots of input every day about how important it is to mobilize the heart-based leadership in people. So to the South African National Defence Force, to the people themselves, he's been lobbying a lot for people to get involved and support each other. Alcohol, drugs of any kind have dropped in amount of consumption. But when you take this red pill and you're reacting from this reptilian brain and you're in the fear, this is what you were calling the dragon state. Tell us a little bit more about how do people make the shift, Blanca, from the red pill to the blue pill? What's your little wisdom on it, little to great pearls of wisdom on it? Because I know you've also started the Thank You Corona group on Facebook for anybody who needs really some evidence, some support, some like-mindedness for the gratitude and the privilege that we have at this time to be alive, to be contemplating all the gifts we've had in life, to be supporting each other every single day to make it through with a nice, stable, pure mind state that can be realistic, take on the challenge, and also return to a place of peace. I recommend this group, Thank You Corona, that Blanca has set up. But as you see, she's incredibly skilled in really understanding a heart-based economy and how we can build it from now on. But I want you to go back to the dragon state and help us transition.
Well, we're experiencing all kinds of feelings. All of us. I experience all kinds of feelings. I go up and down with the news and with what I hear from friends, etc. Now it's really like being really alive. So what we need to do is be. So you feel bad, you be with the feeling. Be with the feeling, accept it. I'm angry, I am fearful, I feel guilty, I feel blame, no? I mean, blaming somebody. When you accept the feeling and just let it be, because we are everything that has been and will ever be, when we accept that and we let it be, it can transform into understanding and acceptance and compassion for yourself, for the others. And when you cover all this feeling with compassion and gratitude, the reptilian brain, it works like a little child in your psyche who hasn't eaten. So it's shouting and shouting and shouting, whatever is the feeling, sadness, fear, whatever, is shouting and shouting in your psyche. And if you just try to suppress it, shut up, shut up, shut up, what's going to happen is going to shout louder. So listen to it, feed it even, put him to sleep. It's exactly like a child. Listen to the feeling, accept it. Don't be scared of that. And that magically will bring you to peace, to tranquility. It's really magical.
Yeah.
Accept your feelings, and when from the acceptance, from the compassion, it will flow better feelings. The next better feeling, very great tool, is that one, gratitude. Gratitude. So that will bring you. I mean, of course, this is, for to answer it in 1 minute is a tough question, because I see that we're at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
But I'm here for you. You can find me everywhere, Blanca Vergara, and delighted to help you in that. In many techniques. Oh, maybe I have to invite you for this. I started a series of meditations on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I just made it a retreat. And now I made it permanent. I decided that every Monday I'm going to have a meditation on this specific problem. So if you want to join me, I'll send you the link, Heleniq. For everybody in the emotional state that you are, you can come on Mondays and kick off all your week so that you are centered to send as many oxygen as possible to your prefrontal cortex and make business decisions with intelligence, not with fear.
Fantastic. I want people to know that you can reach out to Blanca if you want to do a little prep session for your business.
Yeah. May I tell something about it, Heleniq?
Yes, of course. And I want to just also recap one last thing before you go, but we have to be very timely.
Okay. I decided to help people who are of these holding space kind of people who have a little bit of fear, a little bit of imposter syndrome, but have more courage to bring their gift to the market and really to change the future with their gift. I created a retreat that's called the Emerge Retreat. At the end of today's retreat, you will have an offer that you will be able to sell, and don't feel slimy about it, because you will know that this is your gift and it will be helpful for people. So at blancavergara.com, you'll find all the information.
Tell us 3 highlights from running this group. Thank you, Corona.
Thank you, Corona. Oh my God, it's really
highlights of what's happening in there that you can really say is
okay. I started this group to improve the attention towards gratitude, and I was attacked by a troll online. So I discovered that gratitude, happiness, is not for everybody. We have to be very careful with others and respectful for their pain. If people are in pain, in blame, and in fear, we have to use as much love as possible. Use as much gratitude, stay with people who are grateful. And if you find people in pain, be very compassionate. Protect yourself, because people in fear can be devastating. So lots of gratitude and lots of compassion for everybody else and for yourself, whichever state you are. Please join us. Thank you, Corona is in Facebook, and everybody just keeps posting just positive things to help each other, nourish each other spiritually. Yeah. And this is for everybody, whichever stage you are. Just if you are not in blame and aggression, we don't appreciate blame and aggression in this group.
Excellent. I also post in there when I can, and I know there's a whole teddy bear phenomenon going on in the Netherlands. We're going to sign off just sharing with you a whole new trend up here. Maybe you can start one in your own country. Teddy bears at the window have become a sign of affection, comfort to each other in the social distancing. And today I saw a unicorn on my little street. They put a little unicorn soft toy in the window, not a teddy bear. And there's such a beautiful communication going on. Tell us, Blanca, where did it start and how?
I believe that it did not start in the Netherlands, that it started somewhere else in the world. And the idea was to give children like a treasure hunt thing that you go outside because you cannot go to school and you look for the bears. And when I saw it, I thought, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's that we are sending a hug to people who are in the other side of the street. And I told that to my people in the Corona group and the Thank You Corona group. And now they are thinking that it is not a treasure hunt, a bear hunt, but it's a hug for the neighbors. So whether you want to do it a treasure hunt for children or you want to give a hug to your neighbors, put a bear is just a way of sending love to everybody.
Such a beautiful thing. I see it and I feel a little hug from a teddy bear, and I put mine at the window, and I'll be putting some photos up here of mine and the unicorn if you want to follow, or jump into Thank You Corona to put yours. Maybe we can communicate in this quirky, fun, beautiful, heartwarming way too. I'm so grateful that you've all joined me here on Facebook. We have the next one with Regina Huber on transformational leadership. I want to thank you, Blanca, for really strong tone, real clarity on how we are moving and shifting from this old style economy into a new one. Entrepreneurs are paramount in building it, and you've given us some great tips and tools on how to do that. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you the best. Really, I hope you all stay safe. Keep meditating after the news, and I'll be thinking about you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.